Danessa Myricks Beauty just came out with one of the most exciting makeup launches of the year in my opinion. I'm talking about the Colorfix Stix, and these are basically like a super high impact eyeshadow stick. She took her beloved Colorfix formula and turned it into an eyeshadow stick. Going into this year, I really did predict seeing more eyeshadow sticks, but especially ones like this. For those people who love glam eyeshadow, but love having an option that is a little bit easier to apply day to day and on the go, I'm going to be swatching and trying on all 20 shades, so let's go ahead and get into it. First, I want to talk about the packaging and the formulas. We have 10 eyeshadow duos. Each duo comes with a metallic formula and a foil formula. Most of the metallics are shiny but not overly glittery. If you wear them all on their own, they're great day-to-day shades. And those foils have a lot more sparkle. They can be used as sparkly toppers and inner corner highlights just to add a bit more punch. In my experience with trying these on, you don't get fallout, which makes them even more approachable because you don't have to overthink primers and things like that. These duos are connected by a magnet, so if you have more than one duo, you can rearrange them and mix and match them to your liking. There's also a little plastic cap inside each shade. This is helpful in sealing the moisture of the product in. In my opinion, you should keep those just to be safe, but I heard the outer packaging is airtight. In the first duo, we have the metallic shade Mystic Taupe, and this is described as a taupe metallic shade with warm silvery shimmer. I think this is a really great one and done type of shade, especially for people who are really into taupes. And I think you can see from the swatch just how shiny the formula is and how much pigment you get even on one swipe. And then I'm going to go ahead and apply it all over the lid. For the metallics, I put those down first because they are less topper-like than the foil formula is. For all of these little application clips, I just really want to show you what each shade looks like on the lid. You can see how quick and easy applying these is. I can blend it out super easy with my fingertip, but you can also use a brush. And here's what it looks like up close. Then we have the shade Interstellar, and this is part of that same duo. It's described as being a holographic foil with pink and silver and gold sparkle. And I think you can see right off the bat that this formula is quite a bit more sparkly than the metallic formula, so it makes a great topper. Instead of putting this on my bare lid, I did go ahead and top it and put it kind of on the inner portion of the lid, just so you could get an idea of what this would look like in combination with the first shade. But of course, you could wear this type of shade all on its own, or you could top it over a matte shadow. I think that pairing these with matte shadows is another great option. This formula is incredibly versatile, it's easy to use, and I'm so excited about how high impact these are. Here's what Interstellar looks like a bit closer up. In the second duo, we have the shade Orion Nebula, which is metallic. This is described as a burgundy metallic with taupe shimmer, and I like to see this shade because honestly, I don't see burgundy shimmers all that often. This is another really beautiful deep shade. I honestly don't go for shades like this very often, but I really like how deep and moody this one is. And I had the same experience with applying this one as compared to the first duo. And you can see like there's no cuts here. I could make this a little bit more polished just by using a blending brush, but here it is up close. Next we have the shade Twilight Gleam. This is a foil shade, and I would describe this as a copper toned gold shade, and you can see some pink sparkle in it. That pink sparkle gives it a little bit of extra dimension. And just like with the first duo that I showed, you can tell that this formula is more sparkly than the metallic. I'm going to go ahead and apply it right into the upper inner portion of the lid. And then I'm going to go ahead and apply it right to the center of the lid as well. For all of these duos, I actually really do like the pairings. I also like that if you're someone who is sort of new to eyeshadow, you have that kind of built in. And here's what Twilight Gleam looks like close up. In the third duo, we have the metallic shade Solar Flare. I would say that this is a mid-toned bronzy shade, and it has gold shimmer throughout. As you can see, there's quite a few of these goldy bronzy type shades, and I definitely don't think you need all of them. Hopefully just the one or two that are most suited to you. That being said, I think that having a lot of neutral options is great because so many people that aren't into wearing colorful makeup day to day are really going to appreciate that, especially for those people that love wearing just a little bit of makeup to the office or out and about. Like, these are going to be great 5-minute makeup look essentials. Here's what that shade looks like closer up. And then that foil shade in the third duo is called Lunar Veil. This is described as an antique bronze with champagne sparkle. The sparkle in these foil shades is really impressive. And then I'm going to go ahead and apply this to the upper inner portion of the lid and right into the center of the lid as well. I think with this shade you can really see, because the two shades, the metallic and the foil, are a similar tone, that this really does sort of just amp it up. Just gives it a little bit more sparkle and dimension. Here's what it looks like as a little combo, and then here is what it looks like closer up. And then in the fourth duo we have the shade Apollo, which is a metallic. This is described as a dark chocolate metallic with golden shimmer, and I've had quite a few people ask me what they would recommend for a brown kind of chocolate shimmer. I think that this is a great option. You'd think there would be more on the market, but I actually don't know that many straight up kind of brown shimmers. And I did think it looked even a little bit deeper and more chocolatey when I applied it to the lid than it did in the swatch. Here's what Apollo looks like after being applied. And here is a little bit closer up as well. Next we have the shade Artemis, and I would describe this as a mid-toned, very, very sparkly gold. And the sparkles are also golden. As I mentioned before, there's quite a few golds. Like, any tone of gold that you're looking for in this set of shades is probably here. And then I'm going to go ahead and apply that right into the inner upper portion of the lid again, and also right into the center of the lid as well. And here's what it looks like applied. I really love this duo. And here we are a bit more zoomed in. That gold looks super pretty layered over that chocolatey brown. For the fifth duo, we have the shade Cassiopia as the metallic. I would describe this as a rose-toned copper shade, and it's described as having warm honey shimmer. This shade is actually very close to my skin tone, which I think you can see when I apply it to the lid. It just gives my lid a little bit of a pretty sheen. And here's what it looks like applied, and then a little bit closer up as well. Also in this duo, we have the shade Astra, which is the foil formula, and it's described as being a light champagne with gold and pink sparkle throughout. I know how much everyone loves their champagne shades. I do think that this is going to be another one that's quite popular. And I'm going in and just adding a little pop of this right to the center of the lid just to add a little bit of sparkle. Here's what it looks like applied, and then here is what it looks like a little bit closer up. And then I went ahead and swatched all of these 10 shades on my arm just so that you could see what they look like all together. I think if I absolutely had to pick one shade from this first group, I would pick the first one. That's the one that has Mystic Taupe and Interstellar, because I really like that set you get two that are quite different, and I also just love Taupe as a really kind of easy, effortless, day-to-day one and done type of shade. And of course all of these shades are pretty, you can't go wrong, but I most certainly do not think that you need all of them. So hopefully seeing them all together helps you if you're making some purchasing decisions. In the sixth duo, we have the shade Celeste, and this is described as being a golden metallic taupe with a tawny shimmer. I think if you're looking for another kind of brown tone shimmer, this would be a great option. I'm going to go ahead and apply that right to the lid. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I'm not using any primer for this. I'm not getting any fallout with any of the shades. And the lasting power on these is really nice. These are budge proof and stay put, and I think because they're a water-based formula, they actually come off super easily with water. And we have the shade Nova, which is the foil shade paired in this duo, and I would describe this as a very sparkly champagne gold. This reminds me of a lot of really kind of favorite shades like Ritz and Space Cowboy, taking that shade and applying it right to the center portion of the lid. Here's what Nova looks like up close. In the 7th duo, we have the metallic shade Magic Hour. This I would describe as sort of like a medium deep tone of gold. It's very warm. It has a hint of copper. And applying that right to the lid. Thankfully, because these are water-based, they were so easy to remove and I had no irritation whatsoever between the swatches. One of the reasons why I don't do so many eye swatches is because I get quite a bit of eye irritation, but that was not the case at all with these. And here's what the shade Magic Hour looks like applied, and then a little bit closer up as well. And paired with Magic Hour, we have the shade Aurora. This is a foil, and I would describe this as a copper toned gold, and it has pink and gold sparkle throughout. This one also looks like it has a subtle hint of red. And then going in and applying this right to the center of the lid. I think you can see that the shades in this duo are quite similar, though their textures and finishes and the degree of sparkliness is different. And here's what it looks like applied, and then a shot of it closer up as well. Okay, now we're going to get into my favorite 3 duos of this launch. We have Duo 8, which has Draco, and Draco is metallic. It's described as a smoky steel with gunmetal shimmer. For me, this type of shade is a perfect one and done smoky eye kind of a situation. Going ahead and applying it right to the lid, I do think that if you want to do some blending with these shades, you have to act quick because they do dry down and they're budge proof, which is especially important with these deeper shades where you may need to do a little bit of blending, but you can use your finger or a brush. Here's what it looks like applied. I love this shade, and here's what it looks like closer up. And Draco is paired with the shade Meteorite. This is a foil shade, and it's described as an opal tone. I would say like basically a very, very pale purple. It's so light and ethereal, and it has silver, blue, and purple sparkles throughout. This is such a beautiful topper shade. I went ahead and applied it right over top of that shade Draco. I particularly love the way that Draco and Meteorite pair. Putting Meteorite over top just kind of made it instantly like a sort of galaxy type of eye. Here's what it looks like applied, and then here is what it looks like closer up. I can't get over how much I love this duo. And the 9th duo is another favorite. This is the shade Cosmic Veil, and this is metallic. It is described as being a midnight blue with indigo and baby blue shimmer, and I would say that compared to some of the others, this is definitely a more sparkly metallic shade. It actually surprised me at first when I read that it was metallic because the other metallics are definitely not as sparkly. If you're curious how this shade compares to Draco, I would say it has a bit more blue in it, and of course it's more sparkly. Here is what it looks like closer up on the lid. And then the second part of this duo is the shade Starling. This is a foil shade, and this is described as being a smoky lilac with silver sparkle throughout. I would say if you're comparing this shade to Meteorite, it is a little bit more of a deeper purple, although it's still quite light. But of course, the vibes are overall similar. I'm going ahead and applying this to the center of the lid. It has that same type of galaxy eye type of transformation that happened with the previous duo as well. And here's what it looks like applied, and then a little bit closer up as well. Okay, now we're on to the 10th duo. I think this is going to be another favorite. We have the shade Shadow Eclipse, and this is a really beautiful smoky olive tone shade, and it has a hint of taupe shimmer throughout. This is another type of shade that I love doing as a one and done. Hopefully you can see when it's applied and when you see it closer up that it does have a little bit of a hint of green in it. It's another very deep and smoky toned type of shade. And here is what it looks like closer up. Next part of the duo is Galaxy Crush, and this is an incredibly unique shade in the collection as well. It's described as being a sage green with champagne reflect throughout. And I'm going to go ahead and apply this one right into the center of the lid. As I previously mentioned, with all of these shimmers, you don't have to apply them as a pair like I did. I would have totally swatched them individually, but I can't do 20 eye swatches. Here is what it looks like applied as a duo, and then here is what it looks like closer up as well. And here's what the second set of shades look like all swatched out. All of my labels are from the wrist down, and they're not exactly the same order that I just showed them, so in case you are using this as a reference, hopefully that makes sense. Okay, now that we've had a chance to really do a deep dive on these shadow sticks, I'll say again that I think that this is a really exciting, really great release. Each duo is $38. And it is pricey, but I would say that it's comparable to other shadow sticks on the market, especially given that you get 2 shades with each duo and the packaging is super luxurious. It's a price point that makes sense to me. I think that you definitely do not need all of these shades. There certainly are some similarities. If I had to pick 3, I would pick the first duo that has that taupe shade. I would pick either 8 or 9 because they're similar enough that I don't think that you need both. And then I would pick 10. And then if I was allowed a 4th, I would probably pick one that had one of the golds in there. So now that we've had a chance to go over everything, I'm really curious what you think about this launch. Have you already picked up some of these shadow sticks? Do you plan to? Let me know in the comments and let me know which was your favorite shade or set of shades. I really hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.